This is ACOFAE. Laura Marie and Jessica Marie proudly present A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, a podcast. Fair warning, everything the hosts say is explicit, full of spoilers and adult content and shall not be used against them. They have opinions. Let's try not to drag anyone for expressing themselves and just have fun for an hour. We all deserve it.
This episode contains major spoilers from the books Kingdom of Ash, the Shadow and Bone trilogy, and the Priory of the Orange Tree.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, your weekly deep dive into the YA literature and fandoms that we love. I'm Laura Marie.
And I'm Jessica Marie.
And today we are discussing Gods and Monsters, the conclusion to our audiobook and physical copy reading experiment. And slight disclaimer, I'm moving, all my furniture is gone, and Editor Sam is very concerned about an echo. So if there's an echo, we apologize.
As a reminder, who have been joining us on our little experiment, Laura had read Serpent and Dove and Blood and Honey via audiobook, and I hadn't read them. So we decided to just say, like, will the reading experience differ in our opinions and takeaways from the books and the characters? So I had read the first two books, and then for the third one, because it didn't come out till the 27th, like the last week of July, we flipped. So I switched over and wasted an Audible credit and did Gods and Monsters, and Laura read the traditional book copy and did not have to sit through the male narrator that is Reed.
So I'm so stoked about this for a lot of reasons, but just tell me about your experience with this book and the narrator.
Why was there gasping and pauses? You know, it took me a while to figure out, well, maybe if I adjust the speed, it'll be fine. So I may try to make it faster, and that didn't work. And I go, maybe if I make it just at speed or slower, no, that was even worse. And then you can only go so fast to just kind of get through it, because this, you know, he might have a lot of wonderful skills, this narrator. Reading Reed isn't one of them. He could be, and I went on to Audible, and I'm not, this shows you how much I really don't, I'm not going to look up the person's name. He's a working narrator. So I wonder if this is just something that he was bringing to, you know, bringing Reed's character to life, quote unquote. I don't know if that's how he reads with all his other books. Not going to try that experiment either, but oh man. And then to find out that most of the book is just basically Reed's POV. I mean, I feel like I took one for the team, because you would have ripped your ears out if you had to do this one with him.
It's really something. So in case you have not used the Audible experience to consume this book, I will give you an example of what it's like, and it will be an example from the classic William Shatner Twilight Zone episode. Ready? There's something on the wing. Some thing on the wing. That is exactly how the narrator has chosen to portray Reed in this series, and it is infuriating.
Well, you know, I guess it kind of matches, because Reed is infuriating.
He is infuriating. Oh my goodness, is he infuriating? But before we kind of dig into our opinions on things, Reed, let's talk about some things that we actually like. Jess, we haven't really discussed this a lot this week. There's just been a lot going on. So what are some things that you enjoyed about this book?
I enjoyed, I know I was shitting on Célie earlier in this book because she was bothering me. She was giving me some, like, I guess, projecting, like at the beginning of this book, she was very much, she just felt like she was still going to come on to Reed still. I thought it was going to be this whole messy drama because of contemporary romance reads that I've read. And I go, she's going to try to take him, and Reed is just going to fall back for Célie. I just didn't want that. I thought she was just going to be troublesome. And of course, the second I say that, the next paragraph, she's, befriending Lou, and it just felt, and I guess I have to understanding where she came from. She was in the tomb with her sister. Witches have attacked her. She's going to have some reservations with these new friendships. And of course, she's grown and built around that and did establish a friendship with Lou and Coco, and I did wind up liking her in the end, of course, because it's not because, you know what it is? I think it's just like a defense mechanism because I want to protect the characters that I do appreciate, because I love Coco. And even that was one thing that Célie said. She was asking Lou and Coco why they hide their scars. And she was like, scars are a sign or a symbol, like to show of what you've survived. And I think it was like that moment that kind of shifted the way Lou and Coco perceived their battle scars in a way.
I also really enjoyed Célie. I as you said, I understood where she was coming from. I liked her like whole kind of character development where she like wanted revenge and she wanted to get back at her because so much was taken, and she like ran away, but she's also like really deep in it with Jean-Luc. And I liked that. I really enjoyed that. And I liked when she got angry and she was like, I can do it myself. Like, I don't need you. And, you're following me. That implies like a lack of trust in me. I loved all the times that she stood up for herself. And I like that she kind of found her place with these people. I feel like that was kind of very natural. Because we were discussing earlier, the found family trope is very heavy here. And that's something that I feel like, is a takeaway, but we don't really agree.
We'll get to that later. But, you going through the Célie thing, talking through it, I feel like she's had arguably, hot take, the best character arc from where she started, including from book 1, where she was sneaking off in the garden with Reed and being all touchy-feely at the ball, to where we are at the end of this book. And what I really liked at the part where it was Lou and Morgan, and Lou thought that Célie was just knocked out, and she was for a point, but she had the syringe and she was able to like incapacitate Morgan for a moment, but she was giving Lou the option to finish her mom and unalive her, but she wasn't sure if Lou was going to be able to do it, because we know, we've read enough books, we've seen enough movies to know once you're faced with that parental figure and actually confronting them, that there's always that hesitation. And I really like that Célie stepped up to say, look, I did this part, but if you need me to continue, I'm giving you that option, giving you that choice. And I really liked that. I feel like that was like a really nice friendship moment to be like, I can do it if you need me to, but I want you to tell me. You give me the go. I really appreciated that from her.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with everything that you're saying completely. What do we not like about this book?
Well, there was other things we liked, weren't there?
Well, okay. This is why I'm kind of framing it this way, because everything that I do like had nothing to do with Reed.
Correct. I agree.
Because the best parts of this book were when he was unconscious. Like,
okay, the one part that I liked, I texted to do today. And I said, because I finished up the book this morning, and I said, it was the first time that I laughed in the book, and it was when Reed was incapacitated, and everybody was mocking him and be like, I'm a weapon. Because they were like mocking him with words that he said. I'm a weapon, huh? The world shall tremble and fear me. Enemies shall rule the day they have ever challenged me, as he's gasping for air. And I love that they were mocking him when he could not even get up. And that's telling of the person that I am.
I feel like Reed just like sucks the life out of every scene and like everything. Oh, I see.
Keep going. No. It reminded, there's a part at the very end in the epilogue where it's their wedding. Lou is drunk. She's like, I want sticky buns. I'm drinking. I'm dancing. And he says something to her. He goes, can you stop it? You're embarrassing me. And I don't know how you read it in the book, but it reminded me of Liam and Miley on the red carpet at Endgame. And she was all like posing, like feeling herself, loving the excitement because her brother-in-law is like, it's a movie premiere for her brother-in-law. And Liam goes, can you stop it? You're embarrassing me. Why do you always have to act like that? And it made me so mad because it was, I mean, I don't want to just say it's like triggering because it wasn't really triggering to me, but I hate being told you're embarrassing somebody when you're having fun. Then that's clearly, I mean, obviously in hindsight too, that's not the person you should be with if they're embarrassed about your happiness on your wedding day, no less.
And so as I read it in the book, and, you know, I'll go into how it was for me in the book, but I took it the same way. I was like, really? You're now? What? In front of everybody? Like, it's your wedding day. She can do whatever she wants. She's the bride.
I remember your wedding video where they wound up, you were having so much fun. Everybody was having so much fun. And it was you and Sam. But the videographer just wound up having to cut the mics or cut the sound for the video because you two were having so much fun. But they were like, maybe this isn't the stuff we need to memorialize.
Yeah, just, but you know, that is very in character for Reed, you know, so right. I mean.
Which just contributes to another reason why we don't like him.
Yeah. So if we circle back to things that we do like, I do like when Reed is unconscious and everybody else goes to the mermaids and the queen, or right, she's a queen, isn't she? Like
I consider her a queen.
I consider her a queen.
Did it remind you of
the undersea?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, all of it was like the undersea, except like opposite, because they drained the city and everybody had legs and stuff and you could like eat, and the undersea, it's like the opposite. But yeah, it was totally the undersea and I loved it. I loved the descriptions of everybody, you know, Lou being like, I want a wig. I want this, you know, you drain the city so that you could wear your jewels. Like, yes, I love that. I feel like that was one of the best parts of the book.
And when we refer to the undersea, we're referring to the Folk of the Air series of The Cruel Prince, The Wicked King, and Queen of Nothing.
Yes. I feel like that whole time that they are with the mermaids, from the reveal that Angelica is Coco's mom to the time when they like leave the mermaids, that's like my favorite like section of the book, because you have pure and total honesty. You have people calling each other on their bullshit. You have female bonding, female friendship. You have like being comfortable with each other. And then you have like court politics and intrigue. And then you have fantastic descriptions of clothes and costumes. Like, I love that. That was my favorite part by far.
Though that it's stories or parts of the stories that we read like this that make me very much in tune to, I would totally do well as a mermaid, as a siren. Like, that is my jam. You know, I love it because, like you said, there's so much, I don't want to say manipulation, but there's conversation around the bigger picture. You know, there might be a little, you know, ulterior motives, but if we're being honest, where isn't there an ulterior motive when it comes to politics and magic?
And especially in this scene, and Jess, you and I talked about it before we recorded, but this scene where Ilya, they're all at the table and they can't, and nobody can lie because they've all ingested the waters of,
melancholy lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just call it melancholy. I'm going to super translate that.
And so they can't lie. And Ilya is looking at Bo, and again, Bo kind of like comes back into like good character kind of Bo. I
feel like we get book one Bo back in this book.
And Ilya's asking Bo, like, why do you follow Lou? Is she the smartest? Is she the prettiest? Is she the bravest? Is she the best? Like, is she good? Like why? Why are all of you like so ready to follow and like risk everything for her? And Bo's like, he can't answer because like none of that is true. And I feel like, and we mentioned it earlier, but like the found family thing that's going on here is kind of forced because they're found family, and the fact that they're all so incredibly like trauma bonded and they have nowhere else to go. So like that is the found family, and like I don't feel like it works.
Yes, to everything you said. I do think regarding the found family trope, it almost feels like I love a found family trope. I will tell you that I love it. I live for it, especially with my own familial dynamics. But I think there's something to be said, and we said this a few times in like previous episodes regarding this series. They're not really a family. They're not really friends. They're just kind of defaulted people who are on this. It's just like when you have like, depending on where you work, you have some people who have a joined or like a shared goal, but that doesn't mean you're family either, or you even have friendships. Like, we all have friends, and your friendship dynamics are different with each person. That doesn't, just because you're friends with someone else, it doesn't mean that you'll have a familial relationship with them either. It was just, it really did feel forced. I don't know. It just didn't work for me.
And also, I feel like there was a kind of an awareness of that, because every time Bo talks to Lou, he's like, sister mine, sister mine, sister mine, just, over and over again, like hammering home the point that like, we're found family. Like, this is, you're my brother's wife. Like, you're my sister-in-law. Like, we're bonded this way. It's just like, and we talked about this in other episodes. All of the elements are there on paper, but it doesn't click for me. Yes.
And I don't want to say it's something for the author, because every author is different. Because like you said, it's on paper, everything, if you wrote it down, bulleted it out, it's what I want. I don't know if my disdain for Reed overshadows the rest of I was thinking about that. I really don't know if I just do not care for him so much that it's overlooking the good parts or the writing style. And I like what you said with like, if you're driving at home, sister mine, sister mine, sister mine. A lot of the found family tropes that we love, it's earned, and you're with the journey, and it's never said, it's never solidified. You're just there, and the writer makes you feel it without saying it. I mean, even with the dregs, that they're a family, but they have a shared goal. Like the second they need to like go off and do their own shit, they're going to go off and do their own shit, but then they'll come back, and at some point they would come back together because somebody needed something,
What is that called? That's like show, don't tell. Like, don't tell me you're a found family by, saying the words. Like, show it to me. Show it to me through like your words, thoughts, and actions. Like, and I feel like this is a good example of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy. What else did I really like about this book? Did I like Lou being possessed for the first half? No. Did I like Reed being unconscious for the middle? Yes. Did I like Reed losing his fucking memories and reverting back to just insufferable book one read. Like, no.
However, I will say him reverting back to book one read, it reminded me of what we discussed in our Serpent and Dove episode, where he was all pious about, why doesn't she just tell me the truth? And I would have still loved her, blah, blah, blah. Well, here we are, book 3. She did tell you the truth up front, and you were acting exactly the way she thought and everybody else thought you were going to. And here we are, case in point. So for me, I was very satisfied on her behalf to be like, told you so. This is exactly why we didn't tell you the truth the first time. It was just, you know us, we're huge. Like, how about that?
And also Lou being like, were you this stubborn? Were you this infuriating? Like, how did I fall in love with you? And then she's like, how did you fall in love with me? Like,
I like that realization though.
Yeah.
Because I remember I texted you that when he says, she goes, has he always, yes, child, he has. And even, you know what, even when she's working on trying to get him to recover from his memories and fall back in love with her, she's even going through her, what did I do? What did I do? I really just treated him like shit.
yeah.
But I love book one banter, and Shelby brought it back for this one. So
yeah, so thank God for that.
But that's the only part of Lou that she brought back. We talked about this at the beginning of this before we started recording. I loved banter book one Lou, but where was the fire that we liked about book one Lou, where she was just all about herself and her drive, and not in a selfish way. She just saw the bigger picture. And I just felt like this fell flat. Like where it, you know how you talk about, like, sometimes there's just like a lot of side. I just felt like I was walking through the woods most of the book. And then there was a battle. They're like, oh shit, here we go.
No.
What's up, Devereaux? Like,
it was a war.
Okay.
A war of one battle.
So, yeah. A war of one battle with a character who was born to die. Hot take, bootleg Aelin. Like, gonna get a lot of shit for that. And I don't want to say that because I really, again, our Serpent and Dove episode, I liked her spice. I liked her sass. I loved her love for food. I told you, I go, why? This is very relatable. But the rest of it's just not there for me.
There's a lot of cussing in this book. We brought that up in Blood and Honey. There's a lot of cussing. There's a lot of F-bombs on there. There is spice in this book.
Oh,
But like weird spice. And something that I did appreciate though is that the spice up until like prison cell spice. But
I was like, spice.
But like all like the dual masturbating spice, that was like so weird.
When did before yes, I do remember. Okay. Clearly it didn't stick with me.
Kind of weird, but I did appreciate that, like, even though like they were physically like intimate, I guess, it didn't like trigger his memories, right? Like it's not like I'm gonna fuck him and then that'll trigger his memories and then everything will be better.
She hoped that.
She hoped that, but it didn't work. And I did appreciate that because I feel like that would have been a major cop out at that point.
Is it the way the scene was written? Because isn't there a scene similar like that in ACOFAE? And you might have not liked it in ACOFAE too. I just feel like I remember when Cassian's asking Nesta to like touch herself in front of him.
There's a scene that is almost directly like it, almost, in The Plated Prisoner, which is what I was thinking of.
Okay.
No, I just dislike Reed so much that I did not like him telling her what to do and like where to touch. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
It's like, no, no. Stop telling her what to do. You love that.
Oh yeah. And this is like old Chasseur Reed, so he's even more preachy about it in a way. Like,
and he doesn't remember. He doesn't remember having sex with her. So like mentally, he's still a virgin, right? Like,
yeah. So it's all his pleasure.
Yeah.
I'm pissed again. And I sent you the picture last night of like my disgust, basically, because I think I was at like maybe I was at that scene or the prison scene or something, and I just thought. I don't, you know how we say, like, we love men written by women? This isn't, I just don't feel that with Reed. I don't want to apologize because there's nothing to apologize for. Reed is not written for me, nor are any of his spice scenes. Because even in there, and we talked about this in the second book, where they were just, like, hooking up in the tunnels, and when they joined together, then this book is, again, another end of the world. We're going to fuck. And he's just like taking her from behind. And I go, that's you're good. You know, I don't know. Like, maybe some stand-up missionary would have made more sense in a prison cell if it's the end of the world and this is the love of your life. I don't know.
It just, none of it clicked. As you said, they're just walking around for like 75% of this book. They're walking to the church with the pastor guy that ends up like saving them kind of at the end.
Akir.
You're the one that did the audio. You know how to pronounce it.
I don't even remember. I just remember that his mom was hitting on him.
Akila.
I don't know. Clearly, it made an impact on me. I just remember that Reed's mom was hitting on him, and he goes, "You can't do that." And he goes, she's looking at him like, "What the fuck? I can do whatever I want. You are my child."
So, like, they're walking to Aquile's church. They're walking to the lighthouse because Reed wants to save the monsters all of a sudden. They're walking to find the pearls to get to the lake. They're at the lake. They're walking to the chateau to steal the ring. They're walking back to the lake. They're on a boat. They're walking to Cesarine. It's just like, oh my God. Okay. We walk in today. All right. Just what I did like is how the trees kind of played into it. I liked how the trees were like warriors and, you know, woodwoes. And although I don't know, the battle scene to me was like kind of messy. And I found myself, because I read the physical copy, I found my eyes just like skipping over stuff. I found myself like scanning, and then
you said this in our ACOFAE episode, which was another reason why you love the audio version so much, especially with battle scenes, is you find yourself when there's battle scenes in a book that you do graze over that. Yeah. And that's why you really enjoyed listening to the audio version of ACOFAE, because you were forced to be in the wars and in the battles with them.
Yeah. Because, and this is the example, I found myself at the big moment with Angelica and, what the fuck, Josephine. Yeah. And, Nicolina, you know, and the three of them, and they're having their like battle or whatever. And, you know, they're blood bonded. So like one dies, the other dies, and like all three of them die. And I remember being like, oh shit, I don't know what happened. And I had to like go back and like read it again. And I had to do that too when everybody is on the shores of the lake after the meeting, after Angelica says that like, yes, we'll come fight with you. You know, the Oracle, Ilya has gifted you something, and they all drink the water again. And they're like in the pensive, they're in the pensive or whatever of the courtroom scene. And I remember like a couple like pages into the courtroom scene, I was like, how did they get here? What is going on? And then I had to like go back again and like read it. I was like, oh, it's just like a vision. Oh, she's an oracle. It's the future. Okay. I was just like, why am I struggling so hard? I did. I struggled hard.
It's probably the combination of, because it's not because you only read audiobooks. You read, you have Kindle Unlimited too. So it's not just reading the physical copy. I think it's just the story. It feels kind of sloppy too. I don't know if I'm kind of being brazen by saying that.
Yeah, I don't want to like come off as like bitchy or like not appreciative because I have no talent. I couldn't write a book. I know this. But I don't vibe with this. I don't click with this. And, I love Coco. I like everything that Coco does here. I like her grief and her like trying to overcome her like guilt and grief about Ansel and, moving on with Bo and like accepting that. I like all of that. Do I like the happy ending? No, I don't. I don't like the happy ending here. But the difference between Jess and I is that I don't care one way or the other really about a happy ending. Jess, you love a happy ending.
I love a happy ending. However, I didn't like this happy ending. And I feel like there's more ways to have. There's more than one way to have a happy ending. Do I love a Lifetime? Of course. A Lifetime Hallmark end of everybody's happy? Of course. But as I very, very well learned about myself in fantasy, I do like intrigue and depth, and so you can have not every happily ever after has to end in a marriage. And Laura, you and I were saying, I said I don't know if it's because of the read of it all. I would have been so happy if Lou didn't get married, or if there was this amicable decision to say, look, we both have shit to do. And Laura, you were saying that because we were talking about Priory of the Orange Tree. Spoiler, like heavy spoiler, because this is the end of the book. That Iad at the end of the book says, like, we both have our shit to do. Let's focus on the bigger picture, our lives, like things that we need to get in order for our people. And then we can kind of revisit it. And I just, that discussion isn't had. And this isn't, I guess, clearly this isn't that type of book. But you have two witch group. You have the Dame Blanches and the Dame Rouges, that they're trying to create this better world and unity and camaraderie amongst just witch kind itself. And now they have a whole chateau to do that in. Why is that not the focus? Again, this comes from a lived experience as adults, that not everybody's happy ending is going to look the same. And I think we had shared a quote earlier this week where people say like, oh, you need to do, and it was basically about people who have children kind of say, well, when are you going to start a family? In a way, being condescending towards people who might just be with them and their partner, or them and their pets, or them and their friends. Like, just because you don't have kids doesn't mean you're not a family. And I feel like just because the ending doesn't end in a wedding doesn't mean it's not a happy ending. And that's something I'm learning about myself through like what we're reading in our discussions.
You brought up a really good point. At the end of this book, the Jean-Luc, the chasseurs, and they say like, read, like you have a place here, like you can come back to the chasseurs and the girls, right? They're like, and Célie, So I feel like that's a missed opportunity for Reed to like join them and like rebuild, burn it all down and rebuild the Holy Order to like protect against like evil, but like not.
Which Célie says, I love that she calls Jean-Luc out on that in this book also, where he goes, I'm a chasseur, I'm supposed to protect against the occult. And she goes, no, you're a chasseur, you're supposed to protect against evil. And I love, like, I think people sleep on Célie. That was my takeaway from this book.
Yeah, no, they really do. And so, so there's this whole opportunity to burn it all down and rebuild it from the ground up in like the way that you want, because one of the themes that's like hammered over and over again is like, a better world. Like our love is going to make the world better. It's like, okay, yeah, but like how? Because you're not doing anything. You're just getting married. Like
bootleg through a glass.
Yeah, there's like, there's no focus.
I get it's a trope. I get it's a trope.
Yeah, we get the trope.
Yeah, I know.
It's just like, so it's right there in your face. It's like, okay, how are you going to do all of this? Like, nobody has discussed like what you're going to do. And I just feel like instead of harping on the wedding and, Ansel being there and like finding his peace, that's very nice. And, they set a spot for him instead of like page descriptions of how the flowers were painstakingly woven into the chairs. We could have gotten like some freaking plans about the future. Like
we didn't need a whole epilogue about the wedding. If it was an epilogue about, like you said, how everything was being rebuilded, kind of like Major Kingdom of Ash spoiler, how those last couple chapters, it was, here's the court scene, here's the coronation, here's them waking up in bed and like the flower and the king's flowers are blooming, right? That was the end, and like how they were going to rebuild. You had everybody in like the different provinces and who was overseeing what kingdom and where everything kind of was at that point. I don't have that. I just have a wedding.
You have nothing. Yeah.
I don't even know. All I know about this wedding is that Reed is embarrassed over his wife enjoying. She's like, I'm married for realsies to my husband, love of my life. And I know. And he's like, you're embarrassing me. Get who can annul this marriage real quick if they're so like pious with their priest, because this shit's not going to cut it for me. Embarrassed. I don't know why I'm sitting on that so much.
Well, something else that kind of bothered me that I thought was very just like not necessary was like the page descriptions of like how Lou got a cat.
Would you have felt different if it was Fleetfoot?
I don't think so, because like I don't care. Like what is this? What is this? Are you like trying to endear me to Reed because like he insulted her singer and then the cat peed on his pillow? Like I'd be
pissed at him. You know what? I would have peed on his pillow too. Like he pissed me off. I don't blame the cat.
I just don't feel like anything like these types of things like add to the story when you're like closing out like a trilogy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Like this is the end of like a quote unquote epic trilogy about like
people consider this epic?
Well, I'm sure people do. People love this. Yeah. So like,
we've kindly been asking respectfully what it is about this couple, about this series that has anybody who's listening to us, if you're listening to us, so enamored with the book.
Yeah, like please respectfully tell us. We would love to really kind of hear your opinions. But like if we go through the tropes, of the whole series. So the ones that are really like pounded into is like, love conquers all, love will change the world, found families, like working through your grief, mommy issues, daddy issues.
Dead parent trope from the first book.
Yeah. Dead parent trope. What else?
You said grief, but I just don't feel. I mean, I guess that goes with the daddy issues.
I feel like the grief though is more with Coco, because her grief and like guilt over Ansel was like so powerful that it became like that destructive fire, right? Like, and that is the symbol of her grief. Like she's burning down the kingdom because of that. So, I feel like her grief, and then she accepts Bo at the end, and like her tears. All of that. Something that I did appreciate is that shit happens in the end. Shit happens, and it happens for real. They're tied to the stake. They don't think anyone's coming to get them. They do catch on fire, like Lou. But then, self-sacrifice, Lou like takes everybody's pain again. I was like, girl, you don't need to do that. Like, what? And
she didn't lose her powers though.
But she's also like not using them. At the end, like, we don't have any.
Well, we don't know that. We
Yeah.
don't know that. It's just her wedding day.
Yeah, we don't know, but like she does use her powers. She does like create the shield to block all the arrows when they're in the sex cell. like that does happen.
Sex dungeon.
In the middle of the map room.
Turn it into a sex dungeon unintentionally.
Yeah, and like she uses her
I had to find
powers.
some laughter in this book because I told you, I go, I need laughter because what a way to start a Saturday.
And then something else, and I know that bothered you too, is like Reed not using his magic. Like
Still the entire effing book, and you're still not using your magic. And the time he does, he like knocks himself the fuck out, which yay for all of us. But at the same time, you fucking idiot. You know why? Because he refused to learn about it. So he tried to handle magic not knowing how to handle magic, and he knocked himself out because he completely forgot that magic just is, but you can't use it without taking from something either.
Yeah, there's a balance.
It's a whole thing.
How do we feel about Lou being blessed and turning into the three-faced goddess?
I don't feel like it gave us anything else because she didn't give us anything with it.
Yeah, she used it as like a disguise a couple times, and then she talks about how her power.
I can feel the power.
Yeah,
it's kind of calling to me. It just, the way she described it made it feel like it wasn't even this power, but this sixth sense. Like, you know how sometimes you and I, just not even book related, I'll say like, I feel off today, or something's not vibing well. That's how I felt her three-faced goddess powers came across. Like, my vibes are off today. I'm feeling something. And then she keeps doing, no, please. Like, it's telling me it's okay. Like, I trust this gut instinct. It's essentially your gut instinct. That's what it felt like. That's why I never felt like it was this actual godlike power. It just felt like she was going with her gut.
Yeah. And I do like, again, Ilya, she's like, I think my sister chose wrong. Like, there's nothing special about you. I was just like, oh, bitch.
Well, interesting that Lou only perceived what she was saying as she's just trying to rile me up. Well, one, it's kind of working. But two, is she wrong?
Yeah, like, is she wrong? Is she wrong?
Because even when Nicolina was, she possessed her body, but then, what's it called? I was going to say exorcised.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, when Nicolina was exorcised from Lou's body, Lou still has in her head little Nicolina-isms that were like, and it kept with her, like, what is the reason that Lou fell in love with you? You would have been better off if you switched off, and I get that. I mean, there's certain things that people will say to you that you'll always have on repeat in your head. But Ilya was saying those things out loud. So then Lou was doubting herself. Like, what is it about me? Like, tell me the truth. Like, why? And she asks Bo that too. She goes, she wasn't wrong with saying that. Like, I'm not extraordinary. I'm not the prettiest. I'm not this. I'm not that. So what is it about me? She needed that external, that external validation in that moment.
Well, he said, like, she's chosen. Like, she's the chosen one that doesn't want to be chosen to die, So, like, I guess you could say, like, that made her special. But, she...
But she ran away from that because she didn't want to be that. Obviously, she didn't want to die. But...
Yeah. But like, and, they tried to really... We said in Blood and Honey that we thought that Morgaine was a one-dimensional villain. She's just like a woman scorned, on a mission, da-da-da-da-da. They tried to humanize her a little bit in this book about like, when you were a baby, I was going to murder you, but you wrapped your whole hand around my finger and my heart softened, and it took 16 years until my heart was like hard enough to like murder you again. And like trying to make us like feel a little bit of something for her. And Lou's like, you weren't and this is actually my point. It's like, you didn't love me. You loved the idea of me. You loved, like, you know, what I could do for you. I was just like, somebody else? Does that remind you of somebody else? Read.
What else? I know. Talk about issues. I also really liked her call. I liked Lou calling Morgan out on her when she was like, oh, well, Morgan was trying to say, like, you know, a political player. I need to play fair. Everybody's even. She goes, what was I supposed to do? Value your life more than everybody else's? And Lou straight up, yes. And I think realistically, you know, we are all children of somebody. You would like to think a parental figure in your life would put and value your life as their child more than somebody else's, which, now thinking through this, it's that same feeling that in Shadowhunters, where of course he's going to want his dad to put him as a priority as his son, and not understanding why he wasn't being put as a priority.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Issue. Everybody's got daddy issues, right? Do I have daddy issues? Like, yeah.
Yes.
Everybody's got issues.
The dad.
Yeah. Woodwose intervening and then falling into a chasm. And he's just like, bye, bitches.
I know.
He just peaced out for the rest of the book. Like, what?
He wasn't even here that long.
Yeah.
That's all I got. Same thing with the wolves, though. The wolves are like there and out.
The wolves were there and out. The mermaids were there and out. Like, yeah.
What up, bitches? Peace.
Yeah. And it was just like, and I guess one of the things that really does bother me, though, is that, you know, all of the side quests in Blood and Honey didn't really do anything because it wasn't a war. It was just a battle. And the battle ended up being girl on girl for the most part. Witches fighting witches, you know, females fighting females. And then the chasseurs, you know, coming in and like not really doing much, but like not helping and like not making it that much better either.
I feel like there was a part where Reed said something along the lines, goes, we took a step back and nobody was in the streets. I guess we got everybody under lockdown to spare them their lives. And I go, that's all you did this whole time. I love that he took a step back and, like you said, the way the battle wound up being, that's where they were the whole time. Get in your houses, get in your house. You want to know something? That's, to me, that's not value added. If I'm looking around and I myself am not in self-preservation mode of, you know, I see somebody running around, that I should go ahead and hide myself. Darwinism, man. I don't know. You don't have to tell me to get inside. I'm inside. Thanks.
Someone that I did really like is I liked Pan. I like Pan being like, you know, screw you. You're going to get these sticky buns, but you're paying like triple. And, you know, I don't really like you and you need to treat her, you know, I think that he calls her like Lucinda.
Because of her like alias she gave him. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, no, I don't treat her like a princess. I treat her like a queen. It's like, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
You don't. You don't. And I feel like Pan knows that. And that's why he's like, you're triple the prices of sticky buns. It's just,
I like how Lou was pissed at him. He had a sticky bun in his bag. And she goes, why didn't you share that?
She's like, why didn't you get that to me?
I didn't like that because it wasn't for you. I'm sorry. What's mine is mine and what's yours is mine also.
Yeah. Because she's his wife.
Yeah, you know what that means? It's also my shit. Like, how are you going? If you know, like, sticky buns are my favorite thing, you know this, and you were never going to share it with me. I just think that's rude. That's just poor. That's a poor partner.
Yeah, no, for real.
It's like if you order French fries, and I said, no, I don't want any French fries. If you don't know that you should still be offering me your fries, that's probably my red flag number one.
That's so true. Sam, I told you the story about the kebabs. So Sam always asks me, he's like, I'm gonna get, a kebab. Do you want a kebab? And I always say like, no. They like kind of make me sick. Like, no, I don't want one. But I always do want one. So now he still asks me, and he still lets me say no. And then he comes home with my own kebab and he gives it to me. Like, that's what I want.
Remember the one time he went to the store and he said, no snackies. And he goes, are you sure? And he said, I'm sure. And then he didn't come back with any snacks.
And I was so mad. I was like, where are they? He said, you said you didn't want any. See, he never did that again, though. We had the conversation, and he never did that again. I feel like that, communication. Amazing. Do you feel like there was a lot of communication in this book?
No. I feel like there was a lot of, and keep in mind, this is just me listening to it, so I'm not seeing it on paper. I felt like it was a lot of internal dialogue, but not exactly communication. And I mean, I guess this can go how we say when we talk about ACOFAE and Nesta, where I was taking it one way to be like, oh, but she had all these thoughts, to what you had to remind me is, right, but they were all internal thoughts. So even if she was remorseful and this and that, the other thing, what was the actual dialogue, and was that communicated? And I think that is reflective here.
Yeah, I think so too, because there were a lot of opportunities to communicate. Everybody had to work through their own truth, right, at the lake. And Coco was like shell shocked, and like Lou and Reed are like talking about like, what did you see? What did you see? Da 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 da. And like there isn't like a fair kind of like circle there. Like people aren't like sharing. It's like, look, this is your opportunity. Like,
again, the opportunity is there. The environment is set, and even then, people are still reluctant in sharing that honesty.
Yeah, it's found family, but like, is it really?
Trauma bond. I think it's just really like, take the trauma out. Would they still be friends?
No. Coco and Lou would still be friends.
Coco and Lou, yeah. Their relationship I never doubted their relationship.
Mm-mm. Oh, how did you feel about Constantine?
I like that he showed up, but I hate that he died.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really shitty.
I felt like there was like this whole build-up for the first two books, because you knew about him, you knew kind of this backstory. You find out that he kind of protected the girls as they grew up, especially when Coco would come to the lake, and they weren't even supposed to be friends, and they just were friendly with each other, and like they had a friendship despite their own covens kind of being, against each other in a way. And then he goes, letting you know, if you go through with this is at your own volition. And then I feel like he's another person who could have been so much bigger. I was really excited. I told you, I said, oh my gosh, Constantine. But he was immortal. But how is he not immortal? It's all the other characters except Reed. Yeah.
I don't know. What else?
I don't know. The one quote, I don't want to say it stands out, but it says, it doesn't end in death, it ends in hope. And all I could think of is, I hope this book is over soon.
Actually, that's a good point. They talk about hope a lot. Like, hope is the like driving force, and like hope is what fuels us, and hope, gets us up in the morning, and hope will rewrite the world and stuff. So yeah, that's a good quote. That's one of the themes that, they're hammering in us, trying to get us to like connect. I think like they're like the tropes are there for us to recognize and to connect with everything. It doesn't connect with me, and even, Gods and Monsters, the title is said in the book.
Yeah. And we love that. And I when that came up in this book, I groaned.
Yeah. Yeah.
When, again, everything's there on paper, and it goes back to what you said, show, don't tell. Actions speak louder than words. I think of, it's no secret that I've been openly and super emotional in some of our podcast episodes. And that's not because things were drilled in my head. There was a relatability there with the stories that were being shared with us. And that's just not, the effort is there, but the execution maybe not so much. And I can't say, oh, that's because like this is more of a YA audience and not an NA, because the YA books that I have read and we have read and discussed on the podcast, we're having very relatable experiences in every capacity. Even like when I think of Legendborn, and maybe part of that was also the timing of when we read it also, that was really, that's still one of my favorite reads. That's been a standalone up until this point, since it was announced that it'll finally have a second book. But at this point, like, it's my favorite standalone of 2021 that I've read.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, there are 3 books here to pull us in and like have us begging for more, right? And like at the end of 2 of these books, we were begging for it to stop. Right? Like, cause after Serpent and Dove, you're like, yeah, okay, yeah, like game on, yes. After Blood and Honey, you're like, ugh. And then at this one, you're like, ugh.
And even though I had frustrations with Serpent and Dove, my frustrations came from the patriarchy, like the whole societal impact of that. And I was just, again, ready to rage, ready to fight for the cause. Everybody was down. I don't even have that rage for here. They're like, I don't know.
I'm just trying to think, like, I feel like this ending was supposed to be like sweet and happy and joyous and hopeful, and like Ansel finds his peace and everybody's there, and but it's flat, as you said. It's just flat. And there's so many other books and other series that like grip you, and this one just doesn't. And I was looking on the hashtags and stuff on TikTok just to kind of see, and
is anybody talking about it?
I mean, there's stuff, but there aren't people gushing, I guess is what it is. There's like some wonderful cosplays.
Oh, absolutely. The cosplayers are what make this series for me, honestly. Yeah. I mean, just off the top of my head, Georgia, who's Peachy Queen cosplay, and Corinne, who's Corinne Thorne. I mean, their cosplays in general are wonderful, and their depictions of Lou are top notch.
Yeah, and I feel like I will like this series when the fans take it and make it their own. How the headcanons, the fandom needs to take over this and make it into something more than it is, because as it is not enough for me personally.
Yeah, I agree. And it's there. And I say that again, I know I'm bringing up Georgia, but she's been really active both on Instagram and TikTok with her reels and taking the sounds. And I know we share them. I shared them with you, Laura, where I wouldn't have thought of how things are applied. And then when she puts them together, I go, that's totally how it happened, But like you said, I think that's such a good point, because that's when you get more into something, of course. It's TikTok is the creator's Tumblr, I guess you can say, whereas Tumblr was very much 2-dimensional. TikTok brings these characters to that 3-dimensional that we love.
Well, here's our last thing. Do you preferred, just to end our experiment, you preferred physical copies over the audio experience
for this series?
Mm-hmm.
For this series, I think that's a safe way to wrap it, because each experience is going to be different. I love, for example, From Blood and Ash with Stina narrating. Love that experience. And obviously, like, Elizabeth Evans and Julia Wayland and like in Throne of Glass and Sarah's books. Like, I love when the characters all come to life. Love it. But for this book, I think I would have just preferred it traditional.
If we cut out the male narrator, and if the female narrator did all of it, do you think it would have made a difference?
No, I could say no but I say it strictly because of Reed. Reed was already frustrating to me in the first 2 books, and I had physically read the first 2 books.
Yeah, I kind of agree. And especially since this 3rd book is so heavily in Reed's POV, I don't think that would have made a difference. It's just the way that he is on the page, and no amount of talent and like voice acting can make that into something that it's not.
If there was a novella, would you read the novella of this series?
It would depend on who it's focused on. If it's Bo and Coco rebuilding the kingdom, yes. If it's Reed and Lou and their 16 million children, no. I'm so done with Reed, and nothing Lou can do will redeem him. So I just hit it on the head. She is settling for him, and it drives me insane. Like, she could, and you said this earlier, like, she has major bi-wife energy. So, like, the settling that she's doing for Reed makes me dislike her, because she has the potential to do whatever she wants and change the world, and she's not. And it's not that she's getting married, because, like, that's fine. It's that she's marrying this guy who, when the slate was wiped clean, she didn't know how they fell in love.
This is Alina and Mal.
Then that
is the same. She settled this, except what, like, the powers are given up. They start their life with their million kids, and they just go off and, like, say, "See you when I see you."
Yeah.
This is Alina and Mal.
And all their powerful friends will come and visit them in their, yeah.
That's what it is.
Oh, good job. Good job.
We had to work through that. Oh, and we struggled through those 3 too.
Yeah. Well, and that makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
This makes so much sense now.
Oh, the light bulbs have gone off. We identified the issue. It took us this whole podcast, but we got there. That's what it is.
That's what it is. I'm just like I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah. And the only difference is, as you said, Lou still has her powers. She still has her powers. She's still powerful. She's still, I guess, like the 3-faced goddess. But, like, where is it? Give it to me. You know, like. And that's really the only difference. She's settling with a man who, yeah.
There we go.
Good job, Jess.
It was teamwork. Thanks for listening. Feel free to follow us on TikTok, ACOFAE Laura and ACOFAE Jessica. Also, feel free to follow us on our Instagram. And thanks for listening. We appreciate everyone. And next week, we should be having our episode kind of revolving around the world of gaming and more of a Q&A with Laura to get to know one of our hosts a little bit better. And that's something that she loves. So thanks again for listening, and feel free to write us a review wherever you may be listening. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.